Oh, yeah. Welcome out. This is the Remix Morning Show. Right here on Black Liberation Media. In case you didn't know, I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Came here to bring you that boom bap breakfast right here to your table or wherever you eating. In the fast food line, at your mama house, at your cousin and them. We got it for you right here, right now. And not just me, but let me bring forth my cousin and them. Starting off with no other than Claude and Jackie Lukman. It's not Claude.
I was gonna say we're gonna have to get this right. We're gonna have to get this right.
We have to have a little class with you.
Yeah.
Just,
do the syllables for me real quick.
It's one syllable. You just pronouncing it. You just got the wrong vowel in the middle of the syllable. That's all.
Yeah.
Cloud.
So
it's Cloud.
It's Cloud. But so the full name is Claudia. I was born in Lima. My mother's Peruvian. She didn't name me Claudia. There's no USian accent. It's Claudia.
Claudia. I got it now. Just think of Cloud.
Thank you.
I don't know how many times we went over this.
I know.
Drinking some of that good old coffee. Where's Isabel at? She loves coffee.
This is your favorite kind. It's the Bustelo. I'm slumming it because I don't have the Peruvian coffee right now.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
What age did you start drinking coffee?
Probably not until my late teens, early 20s.
Okay. You, Jackie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, my mom was old school strict. That was
yeah. I wasn't allowed to have coffee.
You were a child. You didn't get coffee. You didn't wear lipstick. You didn't wear nail polish. You didn't have a little boyfriend. That's what I remember her telling me that.
Oh no!
It's like, oh, mommy, I think it was in elementary school. Oh, mommy, I have a boyfriend. She was cooking dinner. She didn't even look up. She was like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
That's a little boy that you play with at school. You ain't got no boyfriend, and you ain't gonna have one.
I think I was in like the sixth grade, sixth or fifth grade. Pops every morning had coffee, and it's like, you want some? It's like, okay, it's cold in Jersey. Hell yeah, give me some hot.
Oh, are y'all the reason for iced coffee? Is that where that mess came from?
I never had that.
Jersey?
No, I never had that.
Hey.
That's that sounds like some California shit.
Mm-hmm.
It is, right?
Probably, I don't
know. Yeah. Look at you blaming the Californians. It ain't even right.
I don't know.
Anyway, big up to everybody that tuned in yesterday for our marathon. We had a great time. We rocked out from 8 to 4.
Wow.
So,
yeah, it was fun. Had a lot of fun.
Me and Jackie had some good conversation yesterday. If y'all don't know, go check it out. You know
he was pretty fun to talk to. It wasn't completely and entirely unhinged.
It wasn't the Remix Morning Show, so
See, yeah, it wasn't provocation for the sake of provocation, because that's what it is.
This is called a show. I mean, this ain't your regular schmeckler right here. You know what I'm saying? We give y'all, we entertain y'all, we educate y'all at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So we got guests coming through today. We got another host coming through late, but I took care of her, so we shouldn't have no lacking or none of that. No problems. She should be good. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, I told you I was going to take.
You did what you were supposed to do. You did what you said you were going to do. Right?
Windona. Come on, y'all. Act like y'all don't know me by now. If you don't know me by now.
Wasn't was trying not to go there. I was just asking. I wasn't being antagonist. Every time Jackie asks a question, Jack, you are not in trouble. That's not just.
So, Cloud, I'm used to coming up with questions, regular, crazy, wild, whatever questions to start the show. You want to help me out? You got a question you might want to ask to get this thing started?
I don't know.
We're putting you on the spot.
Well, I guess start with, what did y'all do this weekend? What was your?
Oh, that's so original. So original.
Yeah.
You ask her to ask a question, and then you criticize. You know what?
The lack of discipline.
Okay.
I mean, and you see why you can't be nice to some people, because you give them a little bit of a compliment, they get used to it, but then their head gets bigger and they forget. And then they go right back out in the middle of the street where you tried to drag them out from. And
yeah,
I'm confused. Dr. Jab's going to get you together here, Doctor? Are you serious?
Where is Jab? He ain't been around.
He got his classes and stuff, but me and him supposed to do me and him supposed to celebrate his birthday this Sunday.
Oh my God, how old?
Oh shit, that's a loaded question.
I'm dead.
Shit, how old is the Torah?
Oh my God. Damn. That's your friend, Jeff?
Good Lord, you're either calling the man a miracle of science or a potential zombie. What the hell?
That's hilarious. Wow. Well, that's great.
Yeah. This weekend, my truck was down. I gotta get a water pump, so my truck been in the shop, and I tried to go to a black mechanic, and I'm seeing my loyalty sometimes fucks everything up. But yeah, pretty much talking about you're gonna have my truck for 2 weeks to replace a water pump.
To replace a water pump?
Damn.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Maybe he's just got out of business. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, well, you could have told me that, but they get your money. And be like, yeah. I was a little heated, but it is what it is. But not
I
much.
don't deal with cars. I should deal with cars, but
What?
You don't really want.
I didn't get my license until I was like, how old was I? 34. It was like the start of COVID, and my friend at the time had was like, let's move to Hawaii, because she had family and they had family in Hawaii. And they're like, let's move to Hawaii. I'm like, okay. I was only out there for 6 months because lo and behold, it's very far away from everyone else. So I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but it was beautiful to be there. But that's where I learned to drive, not in Jersey, not in New York, in Hawaii.
Yeah, because Jersey and New York, what is wrong with y'all?
I was about to say, you can't drive if you learn how to drive in Hawaii.
I sure can. I drove through volcanoes and everything. Absolutely, I can.
I mean, if you can drive through lava falling from the sky, you can handle some no left turns in Jersey. Honestly.
Yeah, we're good.
Cloud, come down to Atlanta, then we'll see if you can drive. Because this traffic.
No. Actually, we will be there at the end of the month.
Yep. Okay. We will. That's right. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
So y'all gonna call me up?
You cannot come.
You can.
Wow. See, the fact that y'all don't need me for audio or DJing, and you know what I'm saying, keeping me on the payroll.
It's gonna be a very serious, convenient.
You know what?
No music.
Whoa.
No music.
Whoa! No, it's no convenient without no music.
We got serious stuff to do. We are serious organizers.
You play music, but to get while people are coming in, and once they sit down, then the music stops.
No, bring your ass in here and sit down, and let's have this conversation. That's.
And you better have read all the shit we said beforehand.
What you mean you don't know? What do you mean?
Now y'all know why people don't want to join y'all party, because it ain't a party.
This ain't a party.
I have a party with no music.
That's exactly right. We're not a party. And ain't never been anything like BAP.
Oh my
Quite
goodness.
literally.
No, really. I think if we were gonna have more people, because this is a small internal convening that we're having, and it's not something public. So no, you cannot come.
Okay.
It really is an internal BAP thing, but we are doing it in Atlanta because we're bringing some of our members from all over the country to have some conversations. And so it's a small, yeah. So it's a small thing. It's an internal thing. Non-BAP members are not invited, but we will be in Atlanta, and there will be socializing after the session. So we will hit you up
after.
First of all,
or
y'all coming into my city and you telling me where I can't go.
That's right. That's right.
Yes,
that's where you fucked up.
Yeah, that's that we are, because you know
I'm gonna bust through the doors just because
you gonna get punched right in the face.
Ain't nobody big enough to punch me in the face.
I know. You think this is my first meeting that's been hijacked? Oh nah. I got you, bro. Don't worry about it.
Let's see what's gonna happen then.
Actually, you know, I admit I actually didn't even think about that. Like, yo, we should have a little social session, you know, before we leave. I didn't even think about it.
No. We've just been thinking about business. How do we, you know, how do we get clarity at every level?
Right. Do they have, and of course, the other most important thing, does the place have breakfast? What time does it start?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
Where can we get our herbal medicine? Very important questions must be answered.
Then you want to call me. Yeah,
actually, I will call you for that. Yeah.
That's terrible.
We didn't say we're not gonna see you at all. We just said you can't come to the meeting.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
y'all think I can't be serious?
I'll see you at the Scythe, though.
You cannot be in this meeting.
Y'all think I can't be serious? Though? That's crazy.
No, because we know you can't.
Yeah, well, that, but also
but this is why we love you. But this is why you can't.
Exactly.
You know when
Listen, we know all our comrades and their limitations. Okay.
But let me tell you what else I bring to meetings. Whenever somebody talks for too long and the mic passes, that's what I do. That's part of what I do, and it works. It works so good because you know some of y'all, Jackie, be talking for a while and y'all don't know how to wrap it up. So I help you wrap it up.
I know how to wrap it up. I just don't want to. It's just, please, let's get this right.
Okay.
I know how to wrap it up. I just have a lot to say that I'm gonna get out.
Exactly.
That's what Terrence Crawford said with all them kids. I know how to wrap it up. Yeah, all right.
It takes time and finesse to really, you know, explain certain situations. A dialectical approach, perhaps, right? Like that takes effort, time and effort. This is why there's for Black Agenda for bar, they have a clow rule, so no more than 2,000 words.
Oh wait, I thought that was the Jackie rule.
I'm dead.
Can't be serious.
These Africans be playing with us.
Can't be serious with
you. Be like, okay, Jackie, 1,300 words, 1,687 words later.
Exactly. Talk about just like Kamal says. And one last point.
No.
Really?
Yeah. There's a couple times that a time was like, African, we just need a quick 500-word piece. I'm like, when have I ever done that? When have I ever done 500?
That's like the menu on the that's the ingredients list on the corn on the
literally
on the biscuit box. That's 500 words. What you want me to do with that?
What are you talking about? I'm like, you want me to break down a very complicated and sophisticated counterinsurgent strategy in the global South in 500 words?
Yes.
Sir, what are you smoking?
See, I'm the dean of discipline. I help y'all to be disciplined. I have to DJ and do stuff within an hour and make sure that a certain amount of songs are played, just like you can do a speech within a certain amount of time, and I'll help you.
I'm not. I'm honest with mine. I'm honest with mine. I am long-winded, verbally and in written form. I am. I know this about myself. I'm working on it. I really am. I'm trying to be more succinct. But sometimes it's difficult and it's hard to explain complicated, multifaceted topics in a very short period. Like when you're speaking in front of at a rally and they're like, everybody has 2 minutes. They have 2 minutes. It takes me 2 minutes to say hi. Like, what are you talking about? 2 minutes? You want to talk about genocide, imperialism, Zionism, and the ways we need to organize and struggle in 2 minutes? No, you don't. No, we taking 4, and you ain't gonna take this
at least
until I said what I had to say. And by the time I'm done, I guarantee you the crowd will be in just in an uproar. I guarantee you. So
you got a little Native American in you, Jackie.
We don't say those kinds of things.
You can't say Native American no more.
No, we did. Well, I don't make the claim that I have Native American in me.
Oh no, I just thought you was like Chief Longwind. But see, I've been giving you.
Wow.
I've been giving
you.
That's wild.
Me.
I've been giving you leeway because you got your own show and you're used to talking for a whole hour. So I'll be like, you know what, Jackie's gonna have to start working with other people playing in the sandbox.
I don't want to play in the sand with many others. No,
not the chair of our organization.
No,
all right.
No. I'm no, and look, I'm just being honest. I've had enough experiences over the past 10 years with other people to know that I don't like other people. And I'm good with my people that I got right now. I'm good with y'all.
Before we go into this break, school me on what's the new term for Native American, please.
What?
Indigenous, Cherokee. What's the new term? Let me ask.
There's no. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm sorry.
You face already coming in like.
No, exactly. Like what is happening?
We are not responsible for this.
Yeah, I'm sorry you're walking in on this.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know what happened here. I don't take responsibility at all for this.
There is no new term for Native Americans, for indigenous people. No. Cherokee is the name of a tribe of indigenous people.
Yeah.
It's not Jesus Christ. First Nation is not new. That's not a new term. That is another group of indigenous people. Yeah. As are Native Hawaiians are another group of indigenous people that as are Alaska Natives, another group of indigenous people. So Blackfeet is a tribe of people. Wampanoag that is a tribe of people. Diné is a tribe of indigenous. Cherokee, a tribe of indigenous people. So there is no new term for all of the indigenous people. Oh God.
Yeah.
I just stuck with Feather and Dot. But
you know what?
What's up, Erica? How you doing today?
Screen,
wow.
You monster.
Yeah, no.
What the hell?
Get off the screen. Get off the screen.
Erica, what's good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, nobody's helping me out this morning.
And you don't.
You're not helping yourself out this morning.
You should be left out there to flap in the wind with that mess.
It's just questions. I'm trying to be educated. But
no, you're not.
You sure I'm not? I asked a legitimate question. But, no help. No help from y'all. Thanks. All right, let's go ahead and take a break, and we gonna come back. And hopefully I could go look in the encyclopedia or something and get some real answers right here at no other than the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. Tell me. It's time for a remix on the remix. This one goes out to Dame Dash.
Look, I be riding through my old hood, but I'm in my new whip. Same old attitude, but I'm on that loose. They say they gon' ride me, see me never do nothing. They know that's the reason they gon' end up on the news clip. Audemars on my wrist, bust down. We popping bottles like I scored a winning touchdown. Remember me dead broke, look at me up now. I run my city from South Philly back to Uptown. Thank God all these bottles I pop, all this paper I've been getting, all these models I pop. I just sold 100,000 for my album got dropped, and I'm only 23. Understand that? Look at me, I'm a boss like my rose. Shorty asked me for a check, I told her like no way, cause I made it from the bottom, it was never no way. And I never had a job, you know I had to sell, yeah. Hey. I'm a boss, I call a shot. I'm with the murder team, call a cop. We in the building, y'all are not. You showing the paper, you gon' ball or not. I'm a boss.
All right, let me take you to a time and place. Let me take you back to 2009 with Mos Def off his album The Aesthetic. Name of that song is No High, Nada Más. No High, Nada Más. Mixed with a little bit of 2011. We talking about Meek Mill off the album Self-Made Volume 1 featuring Rick Ross. Name of that song is I'm a Boss. All right, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, go to patreon.com, become a member over there, get footage that's rare, and donate where at blkliberationmedia.org. Go get you some merch that way that can help this channel keep going, and also you can look fly. All right, that's it. Let's get back to it right here on no other than the Remix Morning Show. Yeah. Ooh, what is that noise right there? Oh, that's Cloud's. Put yourself on mute real quick, Cloud. There we go. All right, so when Cloud's not talking, that's what she's gonna do. All right, and there's your remix of the remix. Let me get out of here, y'all. Get to some news. Y'all look like y'all tired of me.
I just got here.
It's been an issue. It started off so well, and then anyway, how y'all
It took
doing?
such a dive.
It was so, and it was so unannounced. It was just like sudden, like, you know, you're going in one direction and you get jerked in violently in this other weird alternative direction that you did not even know was there. But hey,
jerked violently.
it was kind of a violent transition.
I don't know what's happening with my stream right now.
See what I mean? Welcome to the Remix Morning Show, where our producer is a little bit of a tyrant, but but we love him anyway. Hey, y'all, I'm Jackie Lukman, and I'm joined by Erica Caines and Clau O'Brien Moscoso. Oh my God, this timeline of the United States right now is the most messed up timeline that I think we've probably ever had in this, and that's considering how messed up the timeline of this country really is. Because, man, what the heck? So what's going on in the world? What y'all got? Oh no, are we?
No, I didn't know who was going to go first. You know. Also, like, I'm wondering what's going on with my computer, because it was working fine last night when I was on that 10-hour stream. It was 10 hours. I came in the final inning.
Did you?
Did the final stretch. I was like, oh, they're still on. Let me hop on.
Yeah. So let's start here, because, you know, there's always, for the past few years, there's been, you know, the conservatives mad about removing statues of actual supporters of slavery, people who fought a war to defend and keep and extend slavery, people who murdered indigenous people, and conservatives were screaming and yelling, "Oh my God, you're erasing history," as if removing the statue removes the actual thing that happened that the statue is supposed to represent. So now we have the Trump administration reportedly remove slavery history from national parks. The administration's effort to censor references to slavery and racist inequality appear to have ramped up with the reported removal of several signs and exhibits. This is MSNBC. Donald Trump's war on history appears to have widened, with the Washington Post reporting that his administration has ordered the removal of multiple signs and exhibits at national parks related to the history of slavery. The Post reported that these moves are the result of a deranged executive order Trump signed in March, in which he ordered the Interior Department to whitewash materials at national parks and other federal sites that recount the factual history of American inequality, which the order called corrosive ideology. I've written previously about the disturbing parallels between Trump's attacks on museums and those waged by Adolf Hitler's regime. The Trump administration has ordered the removal of signs and exhibits related to slavery at multiple national parks, according to 4 people familiar with the matter, including a historic photograph of a formerly enslaved man showing scars on his back. The historic photo, known as the Scourged Back, shows Peter Gordon, an enslaved man who was whipped after attempting to escape, as the Metropolitan Museum of Art notes. It's one of the most famous Civil War era portraits ever taken. Such accurate depictions of the brutality of slavery evidently run afoul of Trump's blissful ignorance, given his gripe that Smithsonian Museum focused too much on how bad slavery was. Okay, the censorship didn't end with the 19th century photo. According to the Post, the latest orders include removing information at Harper's Ferry National Historic Park in West Virginia. 2 people familiar with the matter said, where the abolitionist John Brown led a raid seeking to arm slaves for a revolt. Staff have also been told that information at the President's House site in Philadelphia, where George Washington kept slaves, does not comply with the policy, according to a third individual. They're literally trying to whitewash the history of slavery from the site of an anti-slavery rebellion. Let me go down here. They end by saying, let me read this one. A couple of different motives seems to be at play here. On one hand, there's the obvious racism in waging a government-led crusade against depictions of racist oppression. The administration's tireless efforts have evoked memories of the racist Black codes, a set of laws passed in states starting in the mid-19th century that were aimed at criminalizing free Black people. Those laws frequently outlawed speech condemning racism. So the idea that these people now who want to get people fired because they're literally quoting what Charlie Kirk said, this is the idea that free speech is a thing that was supposedly extended to everybody in this country, allegedly this constitutional right. That's never been true for us. Never, ever. We have always been criminalized for saying, I don't like the way y'all treating me. This is unfair. This is wrong. This is racist. You're a racist. We've always gotten killed for that. So stop it with the free speech in this country. I don't want to hear no more of that shit. And it's also worth noting that Trump has said more than once now that he sees benefits in an uneducated citizenry. During his first presidential campaign, he memorably boasted that he loves the poorly educated. And just this past weekend, he was recorded in a now viral video saying smart people don't like him. That's some helpful context to consider as you watch the president and his administration effectively try to dumb down the U.S. by hiding the nation's history from its residents. That's where I have a problem with this article. Because we've been saying this. Can we stop acting like this is all starting with Trump? The history of this country has never been accurately taught. It has never been been accurately discussed. It has never been accurately depicted. There is not a commemoration or an acknowledgement of all of the places that were sundown towns, where if you were African, they would kill you if you were still in that town by the time the sun went down. And those towns didn't just exist in the South, they were in the Midwest and the West Coast and in the North. That so the history of this country in regard to indigenous and African people has never accurately or fully been told. We have always had to fight tooth and nail to get even slavery depicted accurately in primary school textbooks, because the textbooks that exist tell this, what, half a chapter, 2 pages, 3 pages, and mostly it's, well, yeah, slavery was bad, but hey, they learned skills. That's the way the textbooks in this country depict slavery now, today, and have for years. This has been an issue that has been brought up several times before. So why are people talking about, that Trump is trying to dumb down the United States? People in this country are already dumb. And that's by design. That is by design. That is already the case. So yeah, this is awful, but this is also another reason that we need to teach our kids our history. We cannot trust the people who created the history of oppression against us that they don't want to talk about the history of the oppression they imposed on us. We cannot trust these people. We can't leave our history and our knowledge of ourselves in the hands of the oppressors. We cannot, we got to stop that.
I think to your point, Jackie, this is a lot of the conversations that came up around critical race theory and like, what are we actually fighting for or to preserve or to save? Because I remember, I consider myself a Tumblr and Twitter historian at this point, right? Because I've been on it for many a moon, aging myself in some aspects. But like the way that folks had conversations around, when did you discover your Blackness? Or when which is in hindsight a wild thing, but it is a thing that occurred because not everybody grew up in certain areas where these things were taught, especially in the South. I had a friend who was from Mississippi, a PhD doctorate, and didn't know, they never seen certain movies, they never heard of certain things, and they went through their whole education. I think, they went to UMiss and everything and did not know certain aspects of things. So that's a thing. And when we consider these articles that keep reoccurring about the literacy rate that is so low, and continues to just grow, like even to the point of things being removed, I am wondering, what does that even mean when we're dealing with a bunch of people whose reactions to this, this murder that occurred in broad view of a person that, inarguably is a racist, a fascist, a white supremacist, if nothing else, right? But then you have, like, I noted last night that people be like, well, yeah, I did my research and I didn't see anything that was wrong, right? So I think that already shows the way that all of this is skewed. When we talk about, we're dealing with people who are arguing about whether or not they are the first, natives of this land, or if slavery existed. And that's not because Trump just removed some of these artifacts, but that's because there's been a chipping away at our history and a foundational collective historical knowledge. And which is why I keep saying collective historical memory is so important, because these artifacts can be removed. But what is our oral histories? What are the things that we're teaching and telling each other and sharing amongst each other? And I think that's what this brings into light, that we don't really have enough focus on that, because my child is in public school and I'm always looking at what's being told in the history lesson about the 13 colonies. I mean, good Lord, right? And there's a way that they kind of jump over settler colonialism. Even to this day, the way that we talk about Palestine is removed from even understanding that we ourselves are here in a settler colony, right? So there is a drastic void of knowledge and comprehension and understanding that is intentional, that it goes beyond Trump. And I think what Trump is coming to do is kind of cement that this has been the US project to delegitimize our histories, to obscure our histories, or to deny it completely, to the point where we can only think of what Trump is doing now as a 1950s thing, like a return to the 50s, because we don't understand pre-revolution, the pre-revolutionary war and what that looked like. And so all the things that he's talking about in terms of Social Security and all of that, and the way that he's trying to confine all of this to a particular class and a small ruling class of people, that mirrors our Reconstruction era, right? But if we don't know about these things, or we don't look into these things, or these things are obscured, then our only recollection of when we were downtrodden is slavery and the civil rights movement. Right? And that's how we begin to date our histories. So much so that we don't even understand who our enemies are and how they become to be our enemies. So I do think that, this, to your point, this predates Trump. This goes beyond Trump. And I think what Trump is illuminating is we're not really sure what we're fighting for, right? Because say, for instance, we do win that argument to have these things still in these museums. What is a museum? Right? So I do think there needs to be a reevaluation in terms of how we understand our histories and what histories need to be secured in terms of how we're understanding what our future looks like. Because even to the point of how things are muddled and disorientated, is how we end up viewing Obama and Kamala Harris in certain ways. It's how the 1619 Project gets legitimized. It's how when we see a Black Secretary of State, we can, praise this in the lineage of a Buffalo Soldier, or what's his name? That Gerald Horn cannot stand. Christmas Addicts. Right. And we praise these kind of things, right? Because first black, right. And not even in consideration of what that means. So I do think that it does call for a reconsideration of what is it that we're actually fighting for.
Yeah. And also just, to say what you always say all the time, right? The 90s are severely understudied, right? And before that, but certainly since then, the chipping away of any kind of public education and moving it more in the direction of charter schools, right? It's astonishing, right? And so I'm just, I can't even imagine what it's like to have a kid right now in school. Yeah.
Erica's like, let me tell you.
We only 3 weeks into 5th grade, and child, I don't know. I'm so terrified of middle school. I'm deathly scared of, one, he's not in a school that continues. There are schools that go into 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade. So this would be brand new school, and then also brand new expectations. So I think that this is a lot. It's overwhelming for me, and I'm like, how much time do we have to get this together and get them in shape? And so but no, I do think that it is difficult to think about that, because the easier solution is we could talk about these Saturday schools and things like that, but I do think that those are things that have to be crafted. Or even when we talk about African Saturday schools, one of the things that I always noted as a child, as a mother of a child who's on the spectrum, is that those schools do not have consideration for children who are on the spectrum, right? Because there's a particular type of educational model that they push to say, yes, African children too are capable of being geniuses. Because look at my 7-year-old reading Malcolm X, that kind of push, right? And I don't think it's in consideration for the different ways that children learn and the different kind of expectations that they should have for the expansion of the ways that children learn in those kind of schools. So I do, but you know, they're also private schools. They're not public education models.
Right.
So there is that battle of saving public education. Because if we lose public education, y'all, we're fucked.
We are.
If we think we're bad now, we are completely fucked if we lose public education.
Yeah. As bad as it is, right? I mean,
right.
Still.
Right, because at the very least, we could be on the PTA. We could, there's ways that we can influence certain directions, because I'm very much involved in the school. Very much involved in all of those things. But I think that this also calls for the reassertion of what we mean when we talk about community control, like beyond just placing ourselves in these seats. What is the objective that we have for our children? How do we understand the model for education and learning for our children, and growth and social dynamics for our children, especially in the battle of what, the material world outside of our homes exists. Like we can, I think people know this as parents, you can instill all kinds of things in the home, but your children are individuals when they walk outside this door, right? And so they have to know how to be a standalone person with their own thoughts and how to have their own thoughts, right? And if critical thinking is not something that's pushed in these schools, or it's not encouraged, and we know that that's something that is devalued, and we're losing value in critical thinking skills in these schools. And what does it mean? What does it mean to reassert that as a community, as organizers, as parents in movement? And by the way, he's home because he goes to public school and all the kids are sick. So
everybody else's germs now. Everybody look, now there's a class for everybody else's germs in school, because now ain't nobody got to get vaccinated. and I am afraid for y'all's children. I really.
Oh, listen. I got vaccinated yesterday. I kept making it quick because I was taking every meeting from a car, and I was like, I just left the doctor's office. Okay, I said we don't know how long we have.
Yep, we're gonna get all the vaccinations today.
Yeah, until all this dry up, let me go take advantage now before we have no options. And they talk about herd immunity is down. So no. Y'all can play with that if y'all want to. All right. I have a commissary car model.
Okay. Y'all play music roulette with y'all's kids.
Listen, you're right. Yeah, not me.
Yeah,
not in my household.
No, it's wild. I'm like, why did I come back again? And then I'm just like, oh, right. I didn't really have a choice. Okay.
Right. I'm sitting here looking at all my pictures from China like,
no, for real. I'm just like, God damn it. That's stupid fucking residency. Because you can't be out of the country for more than 6 months. Otherwise, they take your green card away. So I'm like, can't really lose that shit right now.
Also, if you're in somebody else's country with your visa longer than you're supposed to, they put you out anyway. So
yeah. I'm like, I guess I have to stay in this backwards country for a while.
Also, listen, I'm very much your body, your choice. If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's on you. Like, don't bring that around me. Don't come starting that debate. I don't got nothing for you. Your body, your choice. But as for me and mine,
it's my choice.
We take my body away advantage of this good old insurance.
Yep. That's exactly. We're not trying to advocate for what other people have to be subjected to. No, you do. You don't want vaccines? Fine. I don't even need to have the conversation. I don't care what you think about vaccines. I just need to know that you don't like them, so that I know to stay away from you, because I can't afford to be around your germs, because see, your germs could kill me. So I'm not. Yes, I agree with Erica. Your body, your choice, and it's my body. It's my choice to keep my body away from your disease-ridden body. That's where we are. So, but because of all of these efforts that are continuing to remove public acknowledgement of the history, because that's what this is. History is not being removed because you don't talk about it, because you don't teach it, because you don't have a monument to it. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. You have to know it. That's the whole point of knowing our history, so that regardless of what anybody says about it, we know what it is. And you can find places for you to learn our history. And once you learn our history, you begin to realize why we always say we are connected to people's struggles all over the world throughout history. You learn that when you learn our history. So a couple places I love, a couple of sources I love, workingclasshistory.com. Yep, I'm going to give you the link to these sites. I love this place. This site, they do exactly what they say. They talk about the history of working class struggle all around the world. Really cool sites. I learned stuff that I had never known about worker struggles in other countries. Really great. There's also my all-time favorite source, and will be a favorite source for probably ever. And that's the Zen Education Project, started by Howard Zen, who wrote the People's History of the United States and inspired the other people's history books, the people's indigenous people's history of the United States, I think. And then there's another people's history book, I think, that was inspired by Howard Zen's education, his organization, Zen Education Project. Zen Education Project, Working Class History, and this other site are one of the three main places where I would get my inspiration for my monologues on By Any Means Necessary most days. So there's this and Zen Education Project, this teaching people's history is really fantastic, because as you can see, you can search for the history that happened in any month, the history that happened on any day, any year, in any state, any theme. Look at all the different themes. You want to know the history about all of these different things. All of this, they've got history on all of these different things. But then every day you go to this site, This Day in History, and as you can see, they tell you the historical things that happened on this day involved in people's struggle. So you can see on this day in 1776, in 2020, the 1776 commission was established. We don't really care about that. But in 1787, on this day, the U.S. Constitution was signed. We know that's a worthless piece of paper, because look at here we are. Today was the day that the U.S. Constitution was signed into law. Ooh! And it's also the day we're talking about suppressing free speech in this country, because the conservatives are mad that we're not mourning the violent death, the violent murder of a Nazi. Very interesting times. So this is the second source. And this is the third. This is a website called blackpast.org. This is a new project that they have started, racial violence in the United States since 1526. But as you can see, they have the history. They've got African-American history here. They've got a map. They got timelines, people, events, businesses, institutions, groups, organizations, places, speeches, documents, concepts. But they also have global African history, all this kind of stuff, special features, all kinds of other things, resources for educators and researchers. So here you go. I'm going to give you this link to blackpast. Or let me give you a link to there we go, to the main site. And those are just some of the places online. Those are just some of the websites online that you can go to every day, just kind of learn a little bit about history. But of course, the primary source that we should be accessing to learn about ourselves and our history, those things that we have abandoned, books. They can't burn all the books, They haven't gotten started with book burning yet. So I suggest you go to your library, get a library card, and start checking out some of these fantastic books about our history that you absolutely need, and buy some from secondhand stores if you have to. But we have to be responsible for knowing and talking about and teaching our history. We cannot trust the state that created the history of oppression that we struggled against to be responsible for telling us how they oppressed us and how we fought back. That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was dying laughing because as you're going through the histories, people are debating on history, like what history actually means in this chat. And now I see why, folks don't look at it, because people don't be this wild when I'm not on the screen as they are. And maybe because I have these people blocked, I don't know. But I don't be seeing half these things. And I'm over here like, wow. All right. Well, point missed. But I do enjoy Black Past. I also like Marcus Archives, and Kai had said something that I think is important to know, like the importance of archives and archivists.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember last year we were invited to table at this event that was hosted by a plethora of Black archivists around the nation. It was like focused on like the importance of Black data, and I had raised the question, just like what is a Black active archivist to an organizer? Like, how do you all plug in that kind of work? Or do you see it like distinct? Because I don't see so much like working collectively, like working in tandem or being able to utilize these things. And from that conversation, one of them did join the PAP. They are on the archival team now. Belfina Yawan also was part of the Afro, and we were allowed, they let Baltimore come into the archives and kind of look around. So like, even in terms of like the history in terms of HBCUs and seeing how they played a role in Baltimore, primarily in organizing around certain aspects of the city. So I do think that work is like very essential to what we do, to be able to kind of track and trace what we're doing, or be able to say, see, these things are not new. And I think it is important, because I think the emphasis on erasing some of this is so that we can keep reacting in a shock and awe manner, right? And not be prepared for what is to come. Because I do see a lot of the conversation is like shock, like, oh my God, can you believe? And most times it's headlines, and these things are not actually occurring. When you look a little further, they're just things that have been proposed, or something has been said in passing, or Trump made a statement in a speech, but it's not anything concrete yet. But there's a reaction to it, and not so much a preparation for it, right? So then people get kind of lost in that intangible mobilization model, where now we have people, save the USAID without any, or let's save the Pentagon, right? And so then it becomes like, what are we fighting for? Or like, protect the FBI, And so it's those kind of models, because we have a president has gone rogue essentially. So yeah, I am very, very, very adamant these days about historical memory, because you can see how it's withering away, and the utility of social media to do that. And even to your point about books, I had talked about the literacy rate and the way that our children aren't learning, because it is a struggle to get your child to read. And it is a struggle to get children to read, because it is not something that is quick, right? They have to actually sit, and there's a lack of focus in our children, because there is so much, especially with the screen time. I mean, you can minimize screen time, but screen time is screen time. And if you look at any of the things that children are watching, it is just like rapid. So even if your children are regulated, it is still, what is the type of programming? And children's programming has been set to kind of move rapidly in a sort of way that they don't have that kind of particular focus. So the reading aspect, in my house, it's much of like the collective reading, or we time each other. Like, I'm gonna read and you're gonna read, and that's it. So let's see how far we get, that kind of thing. But it is like you have to sit them down. I don't see much leisurely reading from children like when we were younger, but there's much more for children to get into. I think that me and my cousins were probably unicorn children, in so much that we were very pop culture children. We knew all the shows, knew all the songs, knew all the movies, but we were always in the library. Like, my aunt had us in the library regardless, so we were always checking out books. So I don't think that that's like regular, possibly, but it's difficult now for children. There is no real balance in being able to hold both. So when I talk about, even when I mention, I do like audiobooks insofar as I can force Zion to listen to some things, like, you know, decolonial Marxism to and from school, because he can't touch my radio. Whatever's playing in here is playing in here, right? So you can get your children to listen to in that aspect. But I do think much of the drive towards certain things is this understanding, oh, they can't learn. And I don't think that that's the case. I think that they're being encouraged to learn in a particular way, or not to learn at all. But I don't think it's a matter that they can't. We're just like faced with different obstacles on how we can get them to do it. But I think when I mentioned my quip about audiobooks, like, I'm not necessarily a fan of audiobooks. Like, I'll listen to them, but I am the dog ear, highlight, make notes, like, in the book, right? Especially if they're hard texts. If they're long, lengthy texts, I'm writing in between every word. I'm writing what is the, you know, synonym for this. So like, when I come back, I can understand, okay, this is what they meant. Or I'm breaking to look something up, because that's how I read. So for me, audiobooks doesn't allow for that, because then I gotta pause, I gotta find my pen and paper, make a note. And it's different from where you can like kind of cite back on, like, oh, page 63, they said this, or, you know. So for me, it's a different kind of thing. But I do recognize that people learn differently, and so I'm always fascinated that there's a sort of way that it gets perpetuated as like elitism. Or, right, because one, I, on a personal note, I think just in general, that's projected onto me. Like, you know, like people used to call me an academic, and I have no degree. I am a college dropout, right? But like, academic was like a slur kind of thing, because you engage in intellectual discourse and books, and you read, right? And you
Wow.
yeah, but I say that to say that I do think that there's a broad way that folks learn, but I do think that this kind of media aspect of YouTube and podcasting, I think it's intentional. Because I think we're coming to that is becoming the only way people are able to digest a thing, and not another way. And I think it becomes a little dangerous when things become the only way that people are able to comprehend a thing, is when, you know, it's playing or it's a visual. So now the emphasis on even our kind of work, like, you know, left revolutionary takes and analysis, is how do we edit it better to grab more people, right? So that it becomes, the message kind of gets lost in the spectacle, I guess. I don't know if spectacle is the right word, but yeah, I just think that we're kind of minimizing, or we're limiting the way that people can learn, because it's not flashy, it's not bam. And also to the point, that's how, you know, individuals get embraced as, you know, the radical voice, because they know how to do all that flashy bam. Even
Right.
so what's being said doesn't matter.
Right. And then and then you realize, once you have, or you try to have longer or deeper conversations with those folks, that their knowledge is very surface level, because that's all they need to do that. That you don't, you know, you don't need to do a lot. You don't need to know a lot to get the algorithm to respond kindly to your content, right? all you need to know are a few catchy things, and to be really good at marketing, and then you become, you know, a YouTube or TikTok history influencer. But then those people aren't connected to any kind of organizing, no movement, no collective larger than themselves, right? So what are they doing? Right? How are they? It's a way for people to have access to information that, okay, maybe they wouldn't have had, or didn't know before. But if all they're getting still is this surface level kind of little tidbit of information, and there's not more substantive study provided, a map, recommendations, suggestions for where people can go to get more information, then I don't think that helps any more than, you know, the not people just not knowing stuff. That I think that does so much worse, because now people have an incomplete understanding of history, of what actually happened, and how what happened is connected to today and why it's important. That's as bad as like not knowing anything about it at all. But I mean, even as we're talking about how we're learning our history, we're also living in a time when history is still being made in the most ridiculous ways. Cloud, what is happening in New York? I what's wrong? I mean, okay, Kathy Hochul
Yeah,
was
let's talk
who
about the
she is.
Post.
Yes, because what the hell?
Oh, I asked Cloud, I need a physical copy of the New York Post.
I need to get a bunch of physical copies for us.
I need a physical copy.
My God.
The Facebook link that I have in our chat, in our private chat right now, if you can pull that up, because everyone needs to see the physical copy. It's brilliant.
Come on,
What did
come
you
on.
say? When the Post is right, they
When
write.
the Post is good, they're good. When the New York Post is good, they are good.
I didn't do this. This is the New York Post.
Comrade Kathy.
They actually
Comrade Kathy.
they photoshopped her face onto, because you know that's a picture of Che under you. That's who. Cowardly governor backs defund police and anti-Semitic socialist Mamdani for mayor.
I need that.
Oh
I
my
need a
gosh.
physical copy. Because if this is not the contradictions coming to a head, like how on the nose could this be? Like it couldn't be any more perfect. It couldn't be any more perfect, honestly.
I just I can imagine the graphics designers, and I can imagine them like crying, as they're crying rage tears as they're doing the Photoshop.
Oh no, I imagine. Oh, they were hyped to do this. Oh, they like that's my like. Oh, they could not wait.
Oh no, I mean, I don't mean they were like. Yeah, I don't mean they were like sad. I mean they were enraged that they had to do it. It's like, oh my God, we knew this would happen. Damn leftists, damn it.
If they could have fit more descriptive words of Kathy onto that
I
page,
know.
they would have. They would have.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is,
I mean,
all of it, right? But the funny thing is, right, like, and we're seeing it, right, not just with DC, but cities throughout the country, right? The National Guard coming in. And I've been saying, like, Kathy did it first. National Guard been in the subways forever. Like, what are you talking about? You know?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think I feel like the way the conservatives are responding to this moment, Mamdani's candidacy, and then remember, Mamdani is not, that man is not a socialist. Democratic Socialists of America are not socialists. Okay, they are who they are. I don't get me to lying about what exactly it is they are.
I mean,
But
it's a
What it?
broad, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What is Ricky? What do you say? Red or dead?
Broad.
yeah, they are not red or dead. That's us. That's the DSA is not that. But I will give them I understand that they are social. Y'all can't wait before you're commenting on words. I know that they are social democrats. It was a rhetorical. Okay.
Well, I do. To your point, though, even if they were, Jackie, I mean, however, because there's an international, there's a national, there's different.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, so it's abroad. It was just it was a joke, y'all. She's not.
Yeah. Good Lord,
international
I'm not.
Folks, we rock with them. But also, but also, even to that point, I did hear that I'm more interested more than the DSA than this individual, right? Because whatever the DSA is does not necessarily mean that Mondami is or isn't. I think DSA has a strategic kind of point of view of how they approach elections, especially in New York. So yeah, they have a very specific point of view in New York and how they approach elections and utilizing people like AOC and Mondami. But I do think it's interesting in terms of what does it mean for Mondami to be supported by a DSA and a Governor Kathy? How do you hold both lines?
Right.
And so I think that's where we are. I think that's where we are politically in what this is, because I think for me, what the contradiction highlights is that it makes it appear as if Kathy is some sort of friend to the left in any
right.
Like this is the lady who just went to that black church, right?
Yes.
Right. She just made those statements and right. So and she's also a friend to what's his name? Cuomo. She's also a friend of Cuomo. She's also a friend to Wall Street, right? So what does it mean for him to hold two lines? Because he is getting an increasing amount of Democratic support, establishment Democratic support, right? And that is upticking in NYC. And this is in the face of them formally or attempting to kind of squash him out. Running Cuomo as an independent, they see that we might have to jump ship on that. That's not panning out at all. They're not going to throw their money behind Adams. Adams really is because it's too much Trump on him. So they're not really right. So shit, fuck it. Like that's why I feel like they're like shit, fuck it, right? But I don't know how much, right? But so I think they're backed into a corner politically in a sense, but they're not actually giving in. And what we're seeing more so is Mondami's stance is changing, and not so much the establishment chances, So as he's kind of conceding certain points and certain lines, you're seeing that he's getting increasing support. So what does it mean to walk back certain statements like river to the sea or all of this and then
globalize the Intifada and right.
Yeah. And I think that's the question for DSA that they have to hold. What does it mean to run this kind of candidate? Because we don't know how much control they do or do not have on his campaign. They have a lot of control over the support of his campaign insofar as they are the ones canvassing and, bringing him to the people. But controlling his campaign, and I heard he has some Obama staffers on his stuff too. So there's an astroturf aspect to this that needs, it's
right. Yeah, and I think like one of the first things he did was distance himself from the globalize the Intifada, very similar to AOC, right? The first thing she distanced herself was Palestine, right
after primaries,
and that's it's like, all right, he already made the switch. Good to know.
Yeah, and look, because I see folks in the comments are in the chat are members of DSA. Listen, I'm a communist, so I I'm just gonna leave it there because I don't want to slander people's organizations. I don't. People have their loyalties and all this kind of stuff, but I'm red or dead. That and there is, for me, there's nothing else, because how are we still trying to save the Democratic Party in this country at this moment? How is that still, how are organizations not clear on which side they're on in regard to Palestine? And there are still people in the organization who are like, well, I don't know, maybe the two-state solution is okay. But look, it's electoral politics, and that's a different thing from revolutionary radical organization. Those are different things, and I think that's okay. And you know what else is different that we think is okay, even though he is very different? The ear doctor.
Is he okay?
We're not really sure, but I think it's okay that he may not be okay, and that's okay with us.
Ear doctor, where you going after this? You got on your business shirt.
Oh.
Nah, I got a array of clothing, for different events, but I'm going. What am I gonna do after this? Mine ain't got no truck, so I ain't going nowhere. I'm just gonna I don't know yet. Maybe take a nap. But what you mean I ain't okay? Didn't I handle business with you, Erica? Exactly. Now I'm just okay. I swear I can't win. All right, so we got a guest coming at in a minute.
You see how people boss do? Like they provide an employee with the things they need to do the job, and they say, "Didn't I do that for you? See how I helped you out?"
Right? Then they want a cookie for doing their job. That's what you're supposed to do. You wanted us to be a part of this thing. You're supposed to. And when you want a cookie for doing be a producer and just be happy with that.
That's real corporate. You give it real corporate.
Let me get even more corporate, and I'm buttoning up the top button. So now y'all know I'm being
This
busy.
man called me a black capitalist who now is just negotiating a workers deal. I will just say that.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, because we can't make no deals with workers. We're supposed to take what we can get and be grateful.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Who called you a black capitalist?
Is it a co-op or a corporation?
Me?
I don't know. I can't tell.
When did I call you a black capitalist? I don't even know how those words came out of my mouth.
Oh, I'll send you the clip. Don't worry about it.
Oh, word.
Keep the receipt because you got
damn. I forgot these are all recorded.
I stamp that.
Word. All right. Well, let's take a quick break, and then we're gonna come back with a guest. We'll see if they come, but y'all gotta stick around to find out right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. Batman. Y'all know nothing about that right there. Yeah, Jackie in the back doing it. She know what it is. All right, so let's talk about it. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. We just hit 50K, which is 50,000. In case y'all don't know, now you do. We're trying to get to 75 soon, so let's make that happen. Tell a friend it's on again, and where you go to donate, blkliberationmedia.org. All right, and also become a Patreon member. That helps us to get to where we need to be and get out into the community and do more stuff. That's what I'm pushing for us to do. All right, with that said, let's talk about certain people that need a spotlight. Who am I spotlighting? Let's talk about this sister right here. Let's talk about Mary Church Terrell, or Terrell. I'll be messing stuff up. But anyway, she's a civil rights activist, journalist, teacher, African-American woman, first to earn a college degree. She worked and taught Latin in the department at the M Street School, now known as Paul Laurence Dunbar High School. First woman in public high school in the nation in D.C. The first African woman in public high school in the nation in D.C. And in 1895, she was the first African-American woman in the United States to be appointed to the school board of major city serving District of Columbia until 1906. She was a member of the National Association of Advancement of Colored People and the Colored Women's League of Washington in 1892. She helped found the National Association of Colored Women in 1896 and served as the first national president. And she was a founding member of the National Association of College Women. You talking about a lot of associations, a lot of organizations. Listen, she was there. You know what I'm saying? So you got to go do some more research on this sister. A lot of different things happen all the way to later in life, being married, having a miscarriage, and then after that, suffering long-term health complications, was sent her into deep depression. And she actually, prior to her miscarriage, she was learned about a friend who got lynched, and this affected her also, physically and mentally, all the way to her activism to her dying days when she was about 90 years old. But she's always been in organizations pushing the needle. So big up to this sister right here. If you don't know, you need to do more research. Mary Church Terrell. All right, let's get back to it right here on the Remix Morning Show. Yeah. All right, there it is. They don't know about that dance right there, boy. That take you back to Adam West. You're on mute there, Jackie. Can't hear you. There we go.
Yeah. So that is one of the and I don't remember what else happened in the episode, but I remember that scene. That scene where Adam West, Batman, is dancing with Catwoman.
Yeah.
And they are doing this, and he's got the whole thing on, the cape and everything, and they are dancing, and then he does that move, and it was just great.
So do you know about your DC affiliate, Mary Church Terrell? You ever heard about her?
Yeah.
Okay. That was my first time learning about it. I didn't know.
Yep. Everybody. Well, I shouldn't say. I
thank you. There you go.
Yes. Then let me stop. Yes. Let me stop that. But yes, that is in DC public schools. We were taught, and that's the great thing about going to school here in DC. All of my teachers, with the exception of two that I can remember, were Black. And we got the history of DC. We learned about all of the Black women, particularly, and I really remember in high school learning specifically about the role of Black women in the liberation struggle in general and in DC specifically. So yeah, we learned about Mary Church Terrell, and we learned about Crummell School, and we learned about the early history of Eleanor Holmes Norton, because she's been around forever, and learned about I remember learning about Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman in the context of learning about John Brown, Frederick Douglass, the raid on Harper's Ferry, and the role that Maryland and DC played in the Underground Railroad. So going to school in DC was pretty cool for me, because I learned a lot about us.
Nice. Good thing. So it looked like we lost one of our hosts, but let me get on the screen. I know you know how to do everything else, so we got a guest in the building. So let's go ahead and get to it.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get to this interview, because man, things are happening fast. But guess what? The people's resistance, that happens just as fast. And let's talk about it. Let's go. Hey, thank you so much for sticking with us here on the Remix Morning Show. I'm Jackie Lukman. That's Clau O'Brien Moscoso. And joining us is Sister Sheena from the Black Alliance for Peace, Baltimore, here with a very, very important update about an attempted effort toward a capitalist exploitation that the people just thwarted in Maryland. So, Comrade Sheena, good to see you. What is going on? What happened in Maryland that over the past week?
So, first, thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me be late. PG County, Prosperity Gospel County, poorly governed county. The attempt at moving forward with the data center has been temporarily suspended for 180 days. This comes on the heels of hundreds of people coming to a meeting that they were not let into last Wednesday. I can get into us not being let into the meeting. But the task force meeting, which occurred Wednesday of last week, received immediate pushback from members of the community who were not part of the prior planning to these data centers. So there was a press conference before and hundreds of people standing in the rain saying, we do not want our air, water, any of the additional noise pollution or the energy use costs being passed on to us as consumers. Resonated temporarily with county leadership. So the 180-day suspension is for a full review of the findings of the task force. So it's not a cancellation of the project altogether. It is a step towards it, and there will be continuous efforts to like get it completely off the table and out of PG County. So that is the update that I have right now.
So, Sister Sheena, why are people opposed to this data center? Because, of course, the way and Prosperity Gospel County is that's what it is from now on until the end of time. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you for that. Because that is accurate as fuck. But of course, they tout this as the capitalists do with every polluting project that they want to put in working class and poor Black neighborhoods, which is why they want to put this in Landover. Because if you're not from this area, you know where Landover is and who lives there, right? And they want to put it at the site of what used to be Landover Mall. So it's a big empty. It doesn't exist anymore. And they announced it as, oh, you know, this data center is going to bring all these jobs, because that's what they do. What is the danger of this data center? What was it supposed to be built for? And but what is the impact that people were so concerned about that caused so many people to come out in the middle of the week, in the middle of the day, in the rain to say, hell no, we don't want this?
As it was explained by, of course, the people who want the data center here. So we're talking about the planning parties and the people who work for the corporations that provide energy. We're going to air quotes provide energy because they don't actually make anything. So Pepco and the people who were tasked with doing the focus group said this is going to meet raising demand for energy use. Now, we know that in Prince George's County and in this region generally, energy use and energy costs are not like paired with like the demand meeting the cost of the bills. BGE and Pepco have been like skyrocketing for people for years, and they continue to. And we're actually in like the hotter seasons, but during the winter months, those rates skyrocket tremendously. What it was said was that the growing demand for energy in the region is what these were going to do. So they were looking at the success of the data centers in Virginia, so like Prince William, and that they were looking also to figure out a way to attract other businesses who might be leaving Silicon Valley, because Wes Moore is part of this as well. He wants to turn this into a tech hub. And courting those businesses who are kind of leaving the West Coast, so leaving California, maybe leaving Washington and coming to Maryland where the competition's not as thick, will not only bring them tax advantages, but this is also an availability for anybody who does surveillance work, like host your stuff here, especially with the loss of federal government jobs, but not a loss of surveillance, right? Like the military, the police, they're only getting more surveillance capability, and they're going to need to store that somewhere. And I know someone said, why can't they go to the cloud? what they don't understand about surveillance is it doesn't work like our phones. Like all of the GPS, all of the anything that they're doing. They want that in real time. They want access to it much quicker because it pairs with the lie that they're working around the clock to keep us safe. They're working to detect threats of terrorism. They're working to deter anything that could shut down the United States, even though the call is coming from in the House, because the thing that's shutting down the United States is purging tens and thousands of jobs. It's making sure that people are too unhealthy to stay alive, but just healthy enough to keep going to the jobs that they do have. It's also making sure that people who don't want to live near a data center are too poor to stay in the area, because that is going to potentially force them out and move them into places further, let's say, out of the county, or at least out of Landover. So into areas like Temple Hills, going to move them into Capitol Heights, District Heights, a lot of the heights, which is, that's just how it goes out here. But to court the business people who will be able to buy up that land and potentially attract other business of that nature, because you're not going to be neighbors with a data center.
Yeah, I know last Wednesday you all were able to be on site and pass around some one-pagers. That's also, you can find that on BAP Washington, D.C. Instagram. So folks want to see those one-pagers. But one of the things that was named in the text, it calls it like a high-tech form of exploitation disguised as progress. So I mean, you named a bit of it, but like what is the complicity, would you say, between the companies and the politicians to actually sell these projects? Like, what is the difference do you see in how, or what can you name the fight back being in terms of how this community was able to push against that sort of propaganda versus other areas that are more susceptible to that quote unquote progress, or that sort of calculated strategy of where they're putting these data centers?
So in this case, what you saw was a very top-down strategy as far as getting the project greenlit and moving forward with trying to drum up public support for it. So because it was on a county level that this was introduced, and then they had buy-in from the politicians, they were then feeding it to their constituency as like, hey, this is for you. This is going to create jobs. Someone said that's about 125 positions that were basically coming with this particular data center. That was more people who showed up to object to it than they were going to employ with this particular center. So when you've got elected officials doing interviews saying this is a great opportunity for the county, speaking nothing to what opportunities it's going to afford the children who go to that elementary school that are right next to it, the families who will be surrounded by the noise pollution, the people whose water will be poisoned by it, but you've got a bunch of high-ranking government employees celebrating it as a way to generate tax revenue for the county. That tax revenue doesn't even go to the schools. It doesn't go to upkeeping the roads. It surely doesn't give them a tax break whatsoever. So the people who came out understood that this does not help them in the day-to-day. It doesn't meet them materially where they need to be met. It surely doesn't replace that mall. Like you can't work at a data center. You can't buy groceries from a data center. None of those things. And especially the tech. People in that area are using it to access the internet, using it for streaming services, using it to do their homework, using it because phone reception is so crappy out here. So if you're not on like Wi-Fi, you can only call people. Like you're not FaceTiming, you're not sending any pictures, none of that. So the everyday person is not the politician who is like, oh my goodness, we can get a small Silicon Valley here. No, they know that it's going to do things that don't actually benefit their day-to-day life. And that is how effectively mobilizing those people to speak for their best interest, even though public commentary wasn't included in that particular meeting. They stayed around, talked to press, talked to each other, and Sunday, there was a community meeting where none of the elected officials were present, but people who were turned away last week were able to meet once again to discuss the same issue that they hadn't been spoken to about at all.
Also, in the one pager, it names the carceral control of the digital world. So I wanted to know if you could elaborate a bit on how the physical security apparatus, because it names the patrols that are going to be taking place to secure the data center, also the fencing, the 24/7 surveillance. Like, how does that impact the daily life and psyche of the surrounding community? And how does this function as a form of social control? And then more broadly, we have Baltimore on one end that's saying, please, please bring the National Guard. And we have DC on the other end where the National Guard is already there. So how does this impact, or what is the potential for impact in the criminalization of this area?
So this goes right hand in hand with the criminalization of the area, because now that you are going to station such a huge investment around poor and working class people, of course, the thing that they don't want to happen is anything that is going to disturb the Capitol. So as the police will be dispatched to not only safeguard that Capitol, protect that Capitol, it is going to increase the police presence, which, if I may say, the police presence is already there. Even that meeting had increased police presence. And this is how you receive members of the community. Stationing tons of police, having them direct traffic, having them divert people who cannot get into the building to, I want to say, maybe a block and a half away from where the event was actually being held, because it was not some like, oh, let's go across the street. No, we were walking for a while to get away from where it would be, because they did not want us there. Like, that was very clear. But so the heightened police presence is not only going to lead to the profiling of anybody who is in the area. As we know, the 61 people who just had the charges dropped against them for trying to stop Cop City, they were charged with RICO, right? And like, they weren't charged for like destroying any property or anything like that. They were charged with like racketeering because they had bail funds. Like, I need to be very clear, like, they didn't do what it was stated that they did. Oh God, an eyelash. Wow, that's so freaking rude. I'm going blind for this interview. But like, in the event, like, because there will be children who live there, let's say those children get too close to the building. Now those children are under arrest because they are messing with a state apparatus, allegedly. It could be that they were just trying to take a shortcut, but because the fencing of I was about to say a militarized project, but we know it's militarized because it's going to be under surveillance. They know, I mean, not only is it going to be under surveillance, it's a surveillance apparatus. So let me not like walk that back. It is surveillance technology. And then it's the people of that community that will become the targets of even more repression and surveillance, because that is worth more protection than their lives. That is what their healthcare would be. You know, they can't get health there. They can't get childcare. They can't get, you know, any of the benefits of living in a developed society, but they can get a massive waste of electricity, water, and it'll poison everything around them. But if they object to it physically and respond to it as the threat that it is, they will be treated as the threat, because that is an investment that must be protected at all costs.
And I gotta kind of add a little bit here, because people who don't live in this area do not understand how, like, the material reality of how people live in this situation. Landover, Maryland, is working class and poor Black folks. District Heights, Capitol Heights. What's the other one that you said?
Fairmont.
Yeah, thank you, Fairmont. Kentland,
Hills.
Yeah, like that's the hood. Like,
yes.
Bowie, Maryland.
Shout out to Roosevelt High School.
Yeah, like Bowie, Maryland is where the bougie Blacks live in Prosperity, Gospel County. Bowie, Maryland, and out there off of like Marlboro Ritchie Road, or kind of that area over there. And that's actually more rural than a lot of people realize.
We forgot Seat Pleasant.
Oh, thank you. Yes, so people think of of PG County, Prosperity Gospel County, as like this enclave of all of the hundreds of thousands of rich blacks, right? But that's not it. It is a class stratified enclave of black people, like the rest of the country is. So there is a small group of wealthy bourgeois, petty bourgeois black folks, and everybody else is working class and poor. So they're not proposing putting this data center in Bowie. Do you understand? They're putting it in Landover, where the working class and poor black folks live. And they were counting on those folks being too tired, too overworked, because everybody working 2 or 3 jobs to keep that roof over their head. Because there are no jobs. Talking about this was supposed to produce jobs, 100 jobs. There are no well-paying jobs in these areas. So everybody is working a 1 8-hour job and a couple of gig jobs on the side just to keep the roof over their head. So these people were expecting these folks in these communities to just not pay any attention. You know, because Landover Mall has been sitting empty for a couple of decades, hasn't it?
All the malls.
Yeah,
because there's no more, like, all of those things are shut down. And
I think they're trying to sell. They've been trying to sell Westfield, Wheaton, and the valuation on Westfield Wheaton and Westfield Montgomery. So that's in Bethesda. That's where some people have money. Those things have dropped in almost like a little under a decade. Like, it used to be maybe 700 million for Westfield Montgomery. It's around like 390 million. And Westfield Wheaton, which, if anybody knows Wheaton Plaza, like, you've got a mixed bag there. You've got some working class people, but then you've got the people who don't want to go all the way out to Bethesda to shop. Even that's trending downward, because who has money to shop right now? Like, who really has time for a brick and mortar?
Are done.
Yeah.
Right. When I moved to Maryland, that was the big, because there's no real mall outside of Kings Plaza in Brooklyn. There was no malls in New York, right? So there was a mall in every area. So when I would come and visit, there was Columbia Mall, there was Towson Mall, there was Glen Burnie Mall. And most of these malls do no longer exist. Like, when we used to go get our pictures taken and stuff in high school, which is why I say to Roosevelt, because there was a mall right there by Roosevelt High School, you know? So, like, most of these malls in Maryland, and I've been here maybe 20 years, are done. So anything that any place I hung out with in high school doesn't exist anymore. And so that's,
Lake Forest Mall been dead. I worked there. It was dead when I worked there.
So I think that's an interesting dynamic to see what they're going to be doing with these physical spaces as well. But also, to the point of Jackie naming these areas, I think for a long time, people I think in their mind still think of Prince George's County as like the richest black. I think Charles County now.
Charles is.
Right. It's like, you don't really see, if you got money, you're not living in Bowie no more, love. Okay.
Right.
For the people who, you know, what is it? Must team Doge and snatch those jobs so they can still live comfortably in Bowie, because mainly the whole middle class or black middle class sector in this area has been reliant on those contract jobs or those government jobs or whatever to ascend into PG County, from like the lower levels of Glen Burnie and shit, right? Coming out the abyss.
Getting out the mud.
Yeah.
You're crawling out of Brooklyn into Bowie, right? They have ascended. And so, but seeing that trajectory, I did want to name, because I do think that people don't really consider the dynamics or how those things work in tandem, like how tied into the sort of global dynamics that this area is like embedded in, because of where the jobs are. So even to the point of where this data center is going to be, the text also kind of connects the local environmental harm to the global systems of power. And so one of the things that I know we talked about is, well, Landover, where that's at, that's like a hop and a skip to DC, right? And what's in DC? but the Pentagon and all of these institutions. So what are these data centers actually going to be used for? Right. So how should communities and organizers in the area frame their sort of opposition to address both of these, both the immediate health impacts and the sort of broader ethical concern about powering the security state? Because, I don't think there's much consideration, especially as, like when I say they crawled out of the abyss of like these lower income areas, like even here to live in Spring Meadows here in Severn, Maryland, if you go around the bend and you're in Seven Oaks, that is a huge income difference between the people who live there and the people who live just around the bend in Seven Oaks, that becomes Odenton, right? And Fort Meade is right across the street, and everybody's working at NSA, or they're working on the base, or, so when your income is tied to the military industrial complex, especially in the DMV, there's really no consideration. Like when you go to your Dunkin' Donuts and everybody's who stopped for coffee in the morning has on a uniform.
Right.
It's to work, right? It becomes a normalized thing where nobody really makes that connection to what you're doing is impacting the more sort of global stratosphere, right? So how do we kind of make those connections in terms of the impact of these data centers and what they would be sort of colluding?
I mean, it's manufactured consent. Like, it's this notion that, hey, the world's getting more dangerous. We're going to need more information, and that information needs to be housed. And we have the ability to house that information. So not only are you getting sold, safety, you're getting sold safety from a surveillance spectrum. Like, you're not getting sold actual safety from the perspective of, okay, if there's something going wrong in your neighborhood, find ways to address it as people. They're going to address it and create those databases that they keep talking about. They love a database, but instead of like a physical database, they want to harvest an absurd amount of data. And it takes a lot of power. It takes a lot of extraction. And what that also hides from you is that, like, who is doing it, because they're not naming who is going to be moving into this data center. So they're not saying that it will be any federal agencies. But that's not off of the table when they're talking about who is going to be offered an opportunity to be there. Yes, they have companies in mind, but if those companies drop out, it is the NSA. It is, all of these bureaus and agencies. I mean, they still want to put the FBI somewhere near here. And even though it might not be PG County, they're going to store data somewhere. So it's all a propping up of themselves because, I mean, you have advertisements for any number of law enforcement positions. I was playing solitaire yesterday and got, don't you want to be a correctional officer? And I was just like, I actually just wanted to get to my next game, but they totally are preparing for the next phase of, it's not just surveillance, it's incarceration. It's law and order, the best way they know how. This is the threat. This is where they need to go. So that jail that Bowser wants in DC, it's when, not if. It's when is it happening. The $1 billion jail that they want in Baltimore, they already have the site for it. They want to break ground on it and have that open by, I think, next year, or at least get it started next year. It's all of these things happening so that the cops have a place to put the data. The feds have a place to put the data. The military has a place to put the data. And then they want a physical place to put the people who are on those lists. They want to make sure that you get a cell, you get a cell, you get a cell, you get a cell. And that's why the escalation in these tactics for what's acceptable protest, what's acceptable interaction with the government, what's acceptable when these doctrines and these decrees and these executive orders actually go into effect. All of these things, no one has to know what they actually mean. The fear of what violating them is what matters the most, because being in fear of going into the new jail or going onto a list or going into a database is supposed to prevent people from resisting. That's what they thought was going to happen with this project, that people wouldn't reject it because capitalism's good, jobs are good, faster internet is good. It's a really pathetic understanding of what people's politics are. And again, in PG County, it's not saying much because this is it's a Democratic controlled county. But everybody's not in lock and step with it. Everybody who knows they're poor knows they're poor. They know there are executives who are riding around in luxury vehicles and pulling off in the newest Range Rover. They're not poor. They are not poor. But to say that you are doing something good for people who are, and it comes in the form of environmental racism, or it comes in the form of mass contact with police who are already patrolling your communities, who are already delaying your trips to work because they're pulling people over and, you know, running their tags and seeing if they have a way to ticket them. You're already maybe a month behind on your mortgage. You're already seeing what can get delayed another month before it gets turned off for real, and you just want to make it to your job so that you can pay what you can pay. But these people in charge aren't seeing it that way, so they're just looking to make the next deal with themselves because they go up a ladder. They have a pathway to upward mobility that isn't even available to the people who, quote unquote, put them in office. But they will be repaid in favors. They will be repaid in consideration and a national spotlight. Westmore, Brandon Scott, these people's names will be on the lips of people who have never been governed by them. But they tried to bring this here, and the poor Negroes stopped it because they wanted clean air and water.
Yeah, how dare they? Also, Jen Psaki, she asks Westmore because he's on tour.
I didn't finish it.
Okay, that's okay. Jen Psaki is on tour. Westmore is on tour, and he was on Jen Psaki, and she said, you know, your name has been buzzing around. Anything you want to say about potential run? And, you know, he does oh, shucks. Yeah, nobody's thinking about that. I'm like,
hate that man so much.
Yeah, like, this bitch about to run. God damn.
I just, if it's a Moore and Newsom ticket, I will vomit. Like,
I think we all should. That would be
like, it's like a younger Barack and Biden, and that's terrible.
They might play that. Oh, Sheena, they might.
Yes. You know it. You see it. You see it coming.
Like, how are we racist? We work together.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Let's destroy it. Let's destroy homeless. Yeah, let's destroy homeless encampments in California and Maryland together. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh wow. Cloud, you brought up a good point, and I think we're going to end on this. Cloud, you brought up a good point in the chat that I would love for you to raise, because this whole discussion about malls and these empty spaces and the collapse of the system of consumerism that malls represented, right? And what that means. What did you bring up that in the chat that I just thought it was great?
Yeah, well, I just raised the question because joking around, I was like, an empty mall, that could never happen in New Jersey, because that is what we are known for. But ultimately, we are really talking about the commons, right? And part of what is so like the mall culture is because you get to go with your friends, you get to people watch, you get to But if we did have such a thing as community control, right, of our neighborhoods, of our communities, is that actually the way that we would think about a common space? Is it centered around consumerism, right? We just, that was the choice or the option that was given to us. But if we had such a thing as community control, is that what we would actually choose for ourselves? And I don't think, I would hope not.
Well, that's a good point, Cloud, because even as you're saying that, I'm thinking about the ways that even now, like the kids in Baltimore are banned after 8 o'clock from Towson Mall, right? So there's like restrictions on where the kids can and cannot go, even with the malls that are still existing. And then they will also strip away all their common spaces, right? So there's like no real YMCAs, there's no real community centers, there's no real skate parks. Like, I think that's the thing to do now. Just put a skate park somewhere, and then it's like, oh, pat on the back because we've now invested in a skate park, but nothing else tangible for the kids. But to the point, like, there is no space for the kids, mall or not, even if it was a consumerism thing. And that's happening in tandem with the uptick of the criminalization of the youth. Like in New York now, right? In Brooklyn, there's like wild amounts of teens by the hundreds just flooding Atlantic, for no reason. But also, where are they supposed to go? Where they're supposed to go and what the kids supposed to do. So I do think that you do raise a good point, especially as we're seeing the decay in brick and mortars, but then also we're seeing the decay of brick and mortars into like this digital space. And then here comes these data centers, right? So as the digital space increases and expands, they have to house these things somewhere. So have things been replaced? I don't know if consumerism has gone down. I would argue that it's increased because people don't actually have to go outside.
Thanks, TikTok shop. For community control, from where I see it, I mean, communities didn't make malls. I want to be very clear about that. Like,
right,
inviting a bunch of corporations into a space was not an organic thing, but it did help drive out small businesses. And so, like, you had a tailor, a seamstress, a cobbler, all of those things went away because of malls. Because when you put a Foot Locker somewhere, why would you need a cobbler? Like, I can go get sneakers. I don't need someone like putting a new sole on my shoe. Like, what is that? Resoling a shoe in this economy? Like, it's done, but it's not something that people have ever probably experienced because who wears hard bottom shoes that often? But would that have existed without like the massive push for individualism and consumerism? Probably not. But I was listening earlier when we were talking about like what we lost. In particular, it's that kind of like buying what I need and getting it fixed because I need it for a long time. So the choice to shop for the future was taken away from people because malls were right there. Like, oh, let me run to Target real quick. Let me run to Walmart.
Right. But also, they don't make shit you can fix. Like we have a TV sitting right here leaning up against the wall and a brand new TV because you can't fix this busy.
Right.
Like, you used to be able to go get it fixed at a shop, and now they make it so difficult that you cannot get it.
You cannot. No. Yeah.
And
this actually, exactly. And this reminds me also when I went to Ecuador, this is it's so interesting, right? The flip side of it, right? Because now they've seen a wave of malls coming in with militarization from the US, right? Like when I was talking to the comrades there, I was like, what, just, asking a bunch of questions. And I'm like, what's like the biggest change that you see, right? And they're like, this is kind of interesting, but malls are everywhere now. And that's like, we've never had that before, and so that was, the way that they were seeing it, another aspect of this U.S. invasion, right? But the way that we're seeing it in PG County, in Baltimore, and, it's like the end of that, right? It's like phasing out that aspect of it. So it's just, another way that I'm thinking also, right? Just like how we are actually connected to our comrades in the global South, right? How these methodologies of control and domination are exported also, right? And in so many ways, we can also think about internal colonies also as being forms of laboratory for empire,
Absolutely. And as always, sometimes we get an interview and a guest and a topic that is connected to too many things that we can't keep it to the little 15 minutes we're supposed to, because this is not just about this one data center in Landover, Maryland. As people in the chat have pointed out, this is something that is happening across the country in these places where a lot of these abandoned, massive, formerly public spaces are now, they're just sitting there empty. And instead of retrofitting these massive pieces of property for use by the people as a kind of commons, a park or a library or something useful for the people, instead, this is what is forced on the people. And thank you, Sister Sheena, for coming and explaining to us how people thought in Prosperity Gospel County, at least for this 108 days. And we'll check in again to see what the outcome will be on day 109. We gonna see. Thanks so much. And you know what? it is time. It is just about that time. So, ear doctor, where you at?
That ain't how we do stuff.
What do you mean?
You gotta get the guests out of here first.
Why? It's 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's like 3 more minutes.
But you don't come on here and
thought he wanted me to come on and host, and now I'm getting shown the door in 3 minutes left.
Oh no, it's just protocol. We say thank the guests for coming through, and she put up the peace sign. She put up the peace sign, and I was about to hit the button that did the transition. I'm just going by protocol, y'all. I mean, you know,
Mommy, Daddy, stop fighting.
You know me and God.
Go to your room, Sister Sheena. Let me talk.
You know me and Goddess crew are besties. Stop playing, man.
I won't say all that.
Until you bring up Libras.
Hey.
So I bring up what?
Libras. Cancer men, first of all.
Oh, it was Cancer men?
They the real problem.
Who is?
Oh, yeah, doctor.
I'm lost.
Oh, shucks.
You ain't right, man. You ain't right. See, that's that BAP cold talk that I don't know nothing about. I see what it is.
I don't know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
Boy, Women's Wednesday.
I will neither confirm nor deny that accusation.
Anyway, what we got coming up on Darker Than Blue, Jackie, before we get up out of here? Now, this is protocol.
I don't know. The show will be on Friday at 5 o'clock. I don't know what I'm going to be talking about. I'll figure it out. But there will be a show.
Eric, anything coming up?
Well, big day tomorrow for BAP. We have a few attending with the Cold Pink at People's Forum. There's an event happening there. So check out Black Lions for Peace socials. I believe we also have something popping off in New York as well. But not in New York. Okay. But as always, keep up with our events page. And I think this week was nothing happening in BAP Baltimore. Or you can speaking of malls, BAP Baltimore was at Mondawmin, which reminded me I need to be in Mondawmin because that's the last Jimmy Jazz standing probably in the world. So
oh my God.
So I gotta go.
You know what?
I gotta go up in Mondawmin. But you can check
Radio
BAP
Shacks
Baltimore
are
out.
not a thing here. Y'all
Wait,
know Radio Shack is not a thing here anymore.
No, it's not.
Radio Shack
Okay, but in Lima, it is. It resurrects Cool Box in Lima.
In Nicaragua, they still have Radio Shack.
Yes, that's right. So in the global south, Radio Shack is popping.
And they got Payless in Nicaragua.
She had a whole makeover. Her name is Cool Box now.
I need to go to Lima. I miss Payless.
I know. Look at your doctor.
Yes.
But anyway,
women love shopping. Isn't that what you said, Ear Doctor? Women love shopping.
Yeah, but sometimes you should pay more instead of less. That way you won't have to keep going to Payless to keep getting shoes that break on you.
No, but that's why we need small businesses who are cobblers who repair the shoes. That's why.
I ain't fucking with no cobblers, man. Y'all
is that what a cobbler is?
Yes.
See, you ain't even know. You ain't. That's ridiculous. Why are we even having this conversation?
I'm a New Yorker.
A bunch of neo new niggas.
All my Nikes was new. It's crazy.
All right, well, great show, great interview. We had Sister Sheena, aka Goddess Crew, on the screen today. Cloud. Well, I know you ain't got nothing going on, so we'll see you next Wednesday.
Wow, so worse.
Damn, not Cloud ain't got nothing to do.
And go to Black Agenda Report, and you can see
Cloud got all the things to do.
That Cloud recorded from Labor Day.
Yes.
The Haitian Perspective on Labor Day in New York.
Black Agenda Report, Instagram, socials. Check out the video
well, you bring it
filmed and our editing team helped produce.
All right. I guess everybody's doing something. Check us back here tomorrow on the Remix Morning Show, and also make sure y'all come back tomorrow at 11 for Curtis Mayfield Classical Breakdown. We've did our jobs today, ladies. Now let's exit stage left even. Peace out, everybody. Y'all have a great day, great week. We out. Remix Morning Show. Yeah, yeah. It's the Remix Morning Show, the Remix Morning Flow. Peace, all my people. We got to go.